right, thank you everybody for being here tonight, this evening. We'll go ahead and open the Belvedere City Council regular meeting for May 16th, 2022. The clerk will call the roll, please.
Brereton.
Here.
Fleury.
Here.
Frank.
Here.
Freeman. Here. McGee.
Here.
Mulhall. Here. Porter.
Here.
Prather.
Here.
Snow.
Here.
Stevens.
Here.
10 present.
Okay, if you'll join me for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by the invocation, please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Dear Lord, we pray to thank you for our country, our community, and our freedom. We ask that you be with the men and women that currently serve our country and our military and those veterans who have served fighting for the freedoms that we enjoy. We also thank you, Lord, for the Veterans Memorial Wall that was in our community that recognized 58,281 members of our military that passed away, that were killed during the Vietnam War. We certainly recognize them for the sacrifice that they have made for us, and we really welcome them home after all these years. We also pray for our first responders, police and fire. We pray for their safety, all of our medical professionals, our community clergy, and all of those who are elected to represent our city. We ask that you give us wisdom, patience, courage, and compassion as we conduct our city's business here this evening. We ask for these things in Christ's name, amen. Okay. Under public comment, I did want to make sure that I recognized Chief Heiser. Today was his last day, and we had swearing-in ceremony for Captain Shadle, who I will now introduce as Chief Sean Shadle, Chief of the Belvedere Fire Department. And we had a wonderful ceremony today, and I want to congratulate him. Thank you very much, and I know that the city is proud of you, I'm proud of you, and I know your family is as well. So it was a wonderful event. You ordered up nice weather, appreciate that. And thank you very much. I also, like I said, wanted to congratulate Chief Heiser and thank him for his 27 years of service, 7 as the chief, as a fire chief here in the city of Belvedere. And I hope that he has a long, happy retirement, whatever he chooses to do. He certainly put his time in. Had an item I laid on your desk regarding the air conditioning unit at Station 1. Just a heads up, the air conditioning unit, and Chief Shadle may want to comment on this, but I will comment from our discussion. We had the air conditioning unit break down, and it served the living quarters and what have you, Station 1 downtown on State Street. So that obviously constitute an emergency. We certainly can't expect our first responders to be without air conditioning. They're on call all night, and we certainly want to get that fixed. So I did put that on your agenda. Chief, did you have anything you wanted to say? I know you did contact a couple, try to get us a couple estimates, and last we had chatted, I thought I knew where you stood, but if that hasn't changed?
No, sir, that hasn't changed. We did contact 4 heating and air conditioning companies, as you can imagine right now, after that excessive heat that week when it went from cold temperatures, when it went from winter to summer, they were completely overwhelmed. And so we had one company or 2 come out One was unsuccessful. The second company came out, and that's the quote in front of you, Advanced. They fit us in and went and looked at what they could do. They said even despite that, moving forward, the fastest they could expect a unit would be later this week, early next week. We called after that 2 additional companies. We called one on Friday and then one on Saturday morning. Neither of those didn't get back to us till this very afternoon, and that was just to return the emergency phone call. And we called the other one back with no response and then contacted the one, and it was the same thing. It was going to be about 2 weeks out on parts for them. But I talked to the mayor through the weekend, and this company, we've gotten quotes from them before, and they've been real close to low bid. And so we're comfortable that this is a reasonable price for this type of work, emergency work too. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Chief. I think as we go forward, I just wanted to make sure I gave the council a heads up. I know later on in the agenda, we're voting on emergency expenditures for myself, which falls under, this falls under that guideline that is up for a vote tonight. So just wanted to let you know that that was going on. Also, this was my fault, really, a little bit delinquent on my fault, on my end. Today, actually, May 15th through the 21st of this year is National Police Week. And I actually, I had went over the memorial Friday and attended, but I should have had this on the agenda, but I did want to give a little bit of historical on National Police Week. In 1962, President Kennedy proclaimed May 15th as National Police Officers Memorial Day, and the calendar week in which the 15th falls is National Police Week. And President Kennedy, he went on to sign a proclamation that I think is probably more important now and has more meaning now than it did back in 1962 when he signed it. If you'll bear with me, I just want to read this. Moving forward, I do want to celebrate this. I do think the community, I do want to have this as a part of a proclamation, at least in my administration, to recognize National Police Week and law enforcement. And I'll read this. Whereas the members of law enforcement agency of the town of Belvedere play an important role in safeguarding the rights and freedoms of the citizens of our community, and whereas it is important that all citizens know and understand the problems, duties, and responsibilities of their police department, and that members of our department recognize their duty to serve the people by safeguarding life and property, protecting them against violence or disorder, and protecting the innocent against deception and the weak against oppression or intimidation. And whereas our police department has grown to be a modern and scientific law enforcement agency which unceasingly provides a vital public service. Now therefore, I, Clinton Morris, Mayor of the City of Belvedere, to recognize the week of May 15th through the 21st, 2022 as National Police Week, and further extend appreciation to our Police Chief Shane Woody and to all law enforcement for the vital services they perform and their exemplary dedication to the community they serve. And so I wanted to thank Chief Woody, and I want him to thank the rank and file at the police department. I think we all understand that if we don't have law and order, we have chaos, and we've seen what that entails. So thank you, Chief. And we have item 4, approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of Belvedere City Council of May 2nd, 2022 as presented. Could I get a motion to that effect, please? Motion by Alderwoman Prather, second by Alderman McGee. Any corrections, any concerns regarding that motion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Oh, Alderwoman Freeman, yes.
Thank you. I just wanted to make sure that the minutes of the April 18th meeting were corrected
Yes.
to reflect in the record.
You can find them online too.
Thank you. Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor then for the May 2nd regular meeting minutes. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed, thank you. Under item 5, public hearing, we have none. Special messages and proclamations. On May 9th of last week, I did have an opportunity, along with the VFW, the American Legion, our police, our fire, and our community, to honor Mr. Gregory De Leon for his 100th birthday on May 9th. And Mr. De Leon is a World War II veteran, and I presented him with a proclamation. I read that proclamation here at the committee level as well, and I did think it appropriate that at 100 years old and a couple weeks, yes, sir, that you come down here, and by golly, you did come down here, and I appreciate that. So with him tonight are his daughters, Norma, her husband, Tim Murray. Thank you for coming. And Anna Sanchez, his daughter. Thank you, Anna, nice to see you again. And his 29th grandchild, 29th, Abby Marie. So if you'll bear with me one more time, I would like to read this, and I would like to read this in honor of Mr. De Leon and his service to our country and his 100th plus birthday. Whereas, this is a proclamation from Mr. De Leon, whereas Gregory De Leon has achieved a milestone of 100 years of age on May 9th, 2022, and whereas Mr. De Leon was married to Feliciana De Leon for over 61 years, and this marriage blessed his family with 8 children, 29 grandchildren, 45 great-grandchildren, and 9 great-great-grandchildren, and whereas Mr. De Leon has lived during the most eventful century of this world's history, whereas Mr. De Leon was drafted into the Army Corps when he was 18 years of age to serve during World War II, and whereas Mr. De Leon was sent to San Antonio, Texas to complete basic training and continued his active duty training in St. Petersburg, Florida, Salt Lake City, Utah, El Paso, Texas, and Wichita Falls, Texas. And whereas Mr. De Leon's military career ended in 1943, to which led him to move back to Big Wells, Texas, his small hometown. And whereas Mr. De Leon's career continued as a truck driver for his father's company, and whereas today we gather to celebrate the fact that Gregory De Leon has graced those around him with 100 years of life, spirit, and joy, and whereas the City of Belvedere recognizes and commends Mr. De Leon for his service to this great country and serving this community with his presence and kindness here in person this evening. Now therefore, I, Clinton Morris, Mayor of Belvedere, do hereby take official note of the joyous occasion for Mr. De Leon's 100th birthday, and so hereby proclaim May 9th, 2022 as Gregory De Leon Day. So, Mr. De Leon, I want to thank you again for coming down here in person so the council can share in your honor of your service to the country, to our country, and your 100th birthday. If there's anything you would like to say, I'll bring the microphone out to you. If not, that's fine. Anna had asked me about that, and I promised her I wouldn't pressure you. So, but I didn't want it to go unsaid that if you had something you would like to share with us, I wanted you to have an opportunity, Mr. De Leon. Well, God, God blessed Mr. De Leon and his family with 100 years of age, and God blessed us for you coming in here tonight. So thank you very much. Thanks again. Okay, and then also under special messages and proclamations, we have Heather Wick here this evening with Growth Dimensions. Hi, Heather. Good evening. Thanks for coming.
Good evening. I don't even know how to follow that. All right. Congratulations. So Pam apologizes she wasn't able to be here tonight, so you get me. So previously Pam had reported on Prospera, which is helping the city and Growth Dimensions with some Hispanic business needs. Can you guys hear me okay? I feel like I'm...
Yeah.
Okay. So I just wanted to give you some updates on kind of where we're at in identifying individuals that'll help us fill some roles to deliver some services. We have developed a job description for part-time personnel who will assist us in translating materials and different services between us and then the city as well. And also that will help us with some Hispanic business outreach. We're supplying this job description to organizations who have access to Hispanic workforce, such as LULAC, and hope to have someone or someones identified in June. We are also looking for a facilitator who would deliver the Fast Track Entrepreneur Program in English and Spanish. We have a request for qualifications that we've put together, and we're looking for someone, preferably with entrepreneur experience, that would commit to 4 hours of Fast Track facilitator training. And then once they're trained, they commit to 8 hours of facilitation prep work, 30 hours of classroom training for participants, and 20 hours of participant support. Like the other position, we're hoping to have somebody identified in June. Then the only other thing I was going to talk tonight about were some projects that we have ongoing. So have some projects in our pipeline, which, you know, because I know Pam reports about it. But a few of these are things that you have heard about, actually probably all of them that you've heard about, but I just wanted to give some updates. So the first one, Project Kelly. We know this one's going along pretty well, and I'm sure Gina might have some information on this also. But we are continuing to work with them in with the enterprise zone benefits. So not only will we have Scannell and General Mills that we'll work with, we'll also work with all of our contractors and subcontractors. So we're getting materials ready and information ready to give to them to make it a pretty seamless process. Project OM, that one's the fuel center. So that one's been discussed over the last few months. We're still looking forward to that one hopefully coming forward soon. This one's also going to be in the enterprise zone. So just kind of side note, with Project Kelly coming, we've really amped up kicking out some information and getting some materials ready for them. So again, with larger projects, it'll be pretty easy to go through the enterprise zone. Third one is Project Yukon. This is the one that's an e-commerce and distribution center. They're looking to locate in Belvedere, and the company's actually changed the size of the facility that they're going to build, so they've doubled the original size. And I know that Pam's been working with Brent to identify some water and sewer, or to help answer some water and sewer questions that they have about some proposed sites. And then lastly, We are working with 2 different fuel stations right now. They're both in the enterprise zone. The Shell station on North State, they've already begun construction, so we're helping them through some enterprise stuff, a lot of enterprise zone activity. And then Murphy's out by Walmart, they're looking to start in June. The last conversation that we had with the representative is that they were still in the bidding process. I think we're going to be joining a meeting with them pretty soon to again go over the enterprise zone, so that way when they're getting bids in, that they can account for the enterprise zone and the bids that they'll get from different contractors. And then between those 2 facilities alone, we're looking at capital investments that are estimated at over $2 million. So that's all I have for tonight. Not too much to report, but I'm happy to answer any questions that anybody might have.
Okay. Anybody have any questions?
All right,
Okay.
very good. Thanks so much.
All right, thank you, Heather.
Yeah.
Item 7 on the agenda, approval of expenditures. We have general and special fund expenditures in the amount of $2,143,389.31. Could I get a motion for approval of that, please? Motion by Alderman McGee, second by Alderman Porter. Any questions, comments regarding those expenditures you have in front of you? Alderwoman Freeman.
Thank you, Mayor. I have, I think, like 9 or 10 here that I marked.
Okay.
Starting on page 2, I'm not sure who could answer this, but the Cannon Cochran Management Services, I understand that's a third-party administrator for workman's comp claims. What I'm confused about is that the $15,000 is for court fee?
They're also our general liability insurance company. And what happened was there was an accident where a police car was totaled, and through restitution, some of the money was recovered. And then we have to give it back to the insurance company, however, since we were already paid.
Okay, thank you, that clears that one up. And then I have like, I think 3 for you, Chief. Page 9. Maybe not page 9, page 14. Sorry. Down at the, close to the bottom where it's uniform allowance, Explorer shirts, and it says 14 Explorer shirts. So that's $1,005 for 14 shirts, so that's like $71 each, if I'm reading that right?
Yes, that's includes the shirts, the screen printing, and ultimately, for those who may not know, Explorer Posts are our youth program for juveniles 14 to 20 that are interested in learning about law enforcement, that we provide them with shirts and uniforms.
Okay. And then on page 15, you probably thought I was going to be asking about these. Apparently it's squad number 1, squad number 10, and squad number 14 all got new engines at $6,500 each.
That's correct. Squads 1 and 14 are both squads that the council had approved to be sold to Manly Motors back in August of 2021. After that approval, we ordered squad cars, but ultimately, while we were waiting for them, we had to continue to drive these. And in the process, both of them blew engines. And then early 2022, the third squad, Squad 10, Squad 10 also blew an engine. We were originally told that these engines would be covered under warranty, but then realized that they were 1 year too new, and the mileage did not cover the engines at that point. So Kunis actually went to bat for us with the dealership or the manufacturer who wanted to charge us $13,000 per engine, but ultimately agreed to split the cost for us at $6,500 when we looked at squads 1 and 14, which had already been agreed upon to sell to Manley's, who agreed to give us $12,000 per car. Once we realized that it was possible that we were going to have to pay for the engine, we asked them how much they'd give us for a car with a blown engine, and they said $2,500. So when we did the math, even with paying for the $6,500 for the engine, we still actually netted an additional $3,000 as opposed to just selling it to them with a blown engine. So then the third squad would be something, once the engine's replaced, we'll have to assess its current condition, and I would anticipate if that's something that we decide that we're going to get rid of, then ultimately take bids on who would give us the most for the money. If we're looking at an additional $12,000, which would be consistent with what they offered us last time, again, we're still an additional $3,000 ahead as opposed to selling a squad car with a blown engine.
So those two have been sold to Manley's, they're gone now?
No, they are still in the process of getting that engine replaced.
Oh, okay. Okay, and then for Chief Shadle, page 17. No, it's some blinds for Station 2 and some map frames, 2 map frames at $777 and blinds for $1,500.
So the map frames I can answer and explain. So the large maps that the firefighters use that are posted right outside of the apparatus bay floors, those frames were for the new updated maps, and so they had to be constructed because the maps are so big, and normally they were laminated, and I wasn't involved in the decision on that, but I know that the laminated cost was pretty expensive too, because they're like 4 foot by 8 foot at least in size, and so those 2 frames are for those maps, 1 at each station. As far as the blinds, I'm not aware of that, and so I can get the information and get it to you. I can email it to you. I can find out what those were for, and I can get that to you. I don't know.
Okay. And then also for you, I have, just on page 19, it's just a lot of Menards Cherry Valley, and all it says is repairs and maintenance supplies for $752. Just maybe in the future, it all just says for Station 1. Can you, like, separate that out, like what that is if it's, toiletry stuff, or if it's kitchen stuff, or whatever those supplies,
Sure.
Instead of just generalizing that for $752?
Yeah, I can make the report more specific. I know they were doing some finishing repairs on the large remodel that we had, and they kind of took a pause on it, but with Chief's retirement, they kind of ramped it up and wanted to get a lot of those things done for that, and it was just some finishing touches, but I would definitely work with you and try and make things like that clear for you. Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
And then I have some for you, Brent. Page 28. So, Director Anderson, the very first one is Comcast Business, and it's for cable and internet for the street department for $504. And I noticed that on page 4, that, City Hall pays $116 for internet, so why is yours so high?
We just upgraded all of our internet service to the Public Works Department, or the Street Department, Water Department, and the wastewater treatment plant to the high-speed internet, which helps us with our cable, with our computer programs and so forth, and that's what the additional cost.
Okay, so that's going to be every month?
It has a little bit, because this was an installation and upgrade, so it'll be more every month, but not this much every month.
Okay, thank you. And on page 51, I just had a question. It's for the sewer department. It's 2,000 gallons of diesel fuel at $8,514. I was just wondering, what do we power with diesel at the wastewater treatment plant?
We have our sludge tank trucks that we land apply sludge with is primary, and we have our separate fuel depot at the wastewater treatment plant, so that's why it's a separate one as opposed to when we fill up the tanks at the street department.
Okay, thank you. And then on page 53 and 56 seems to be Verizon Wireless, the wastewater treatment plant crew, 232, and then on 56, Verizon Wireless wastewater treatment plant crew for 201. Is that just a,
My guess would be it's a phone upgrade for the crew phones, and one's a tablet charge, but the 232 would be for the, we probably got updated crew phones, so we have an on-call phone for each of the departments that they have to carry.
okay, so that's just not a duplicate accident charge.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. That's all I had, Your Honor.
Okay,
Mr. Mayor?
yes, Chief.
If I may provide some additional information. Looking at the Explorer line item there, it says shirts, but it cuts off. There were additional items that were purchased for that $1,000. Going back to the information that I have from Officer Danielak, who's in charge of our program, it's not only for the shirts. He additionally ordered additional patches for shirts going forward, as well as a table banner. So that way, when the Explorers do different events like at the high school and whatnot, they've got a banner that they can put on the table so people know what they're there for and who they are, and kind of explains, their purpose. So.
Okay, thank you. I just thought $71 for a shirt was kind of a lot.
No problem.
Thank you, Alderwoman Freeman, and thank you, Chief Woody. Okay, any other questions regarding the expenditures in front of you tonight for the general and special fund? Alderwoman Frank.
Thank you, Mayor. Mine aren't so much as a question. On page 9 for the police, it's the business cards, and I know you explained one time you had to buy it in bulk. You have to buy the business cards in bulk first before you can use them, or when. But I was just wondering, have you ever checked Boone County Shopper for business cards? Page 9 at the very top.
Right. No, I haven't checked Boone County Shopper. I wasn't aware that they sell business cards. This company we've been using literally for decades, and what the bulk is essentially is we buy like 500 of the cards at once that are foiled. The foil does add to the expense, but then we have those cards, and then when whether it be detectives or sergeants or command staff need to get additional business cards, then we have a supply that the printer has already, as opposed to having to get them, wait on getting them made individually as they need them.
Thank you. And I just had one more thing, Mayor.
Yes.
I had talked to a constituent probably years ago, and they hear on the TV or whatever about how much the budget is, and they always wonder what that why it's so high. And so I didn't promise this person, but I said that when it was a high amount, that I would give like a synopsis of like what the top items were. So I just wanted to say this, and maybe Shannon could correct me if I'm wrong. But I would say to this person that's listening, it would be salaries and benefits, capital improvements for the stormwater, wastewater treatment plant improvements, and pensions. Would that be the top?
Those would certainly be the larger expenses for the city. Mhm.
I just want to make sure I was accurate. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Alderwoman Frank. Any other questions on the motion and second in front of us here this evening? All right. Hearing none, we have a motion second then for the approval of general and special fund expenditures in the amount of $2,143,389.31. All those in favor will, when their name is called, signify by saying aye. Any opposed, nay. When the clerk calls a roll, please.
Brereton,
Aye.
Flurry,
Aye.
Frank,
Aye.
Freeman. McGee,
Aye.
Mulhall,
Aye.
Porter,
Aye.
Prather,
Aye.
Snow,
Aye.
Stevens,
Aye.
10 in favor.
Motion passed, thank you. And then under approval of expenditures, we have water and sewer fund expenditures in the amount of $883,287.56. Could I have a motion, please, for approval of those? Motion by Alderwoman Prather, second by Alderman Porter. Any discussion, any questions regarding that motion on the floor? Okay. Hearing none, all those in favor will say aye. Any opposed, nay. When the clerk calls the roll, please.
Flurry,
Aye.
Frank,
Aye.
Freeman,
Aye.
McGee,
Aye.
Mulhall,
Aye.
Porter,
Aye.
Prather,
Aye.
Snow,
Aye.
Stevens,
Aye.
Brereton,
Aye.
10 in favor.
Motion passed, thank you. And item 8, committee reports and minutes of city officers. Note for the record, items A through H have been placed on file. The city clerk, and we're left with item I, minutes of the Committee of the Whole, Building, Planning, Zoning, and Public Works of May 9th, 2022. Could I get a motion for their approval, please? Motion by Alderman Snow, second by Alderman Prather. Any corrections, any issues at all with that, with those minutes? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed, thank you. Okay, under number 9, item 9, unfinished business. A, we have ordinance number 581H for a second reading. That is an ordinance amending section 10-79 of the liquor liability insurance of the City of Belvedere Municipal Code. Could I get a motion to that effect, please? Motion by Alderman Snow, second by Alderman Stevens. And this is a housekeeping, basically a housekeeping item. So we had $1,000 in that ordinance instead of $1 million for their liability insurance, so we have basically corrected that. All right, all those in favor of 581H will, when their name is called, answer yes. Any opposed will answer no.
Frank,
Aye.
Freeman,
Aye.
McGee,
Aye.
Mulhall,
Aye.
Porter,
Aye.
Prather,
Aye.
Snow,
Aye.
Stevens,
Aye.
Brereton,
Aye.
Flurry,
Aye.
10 in favor.
Motion passed, thank you. And we have item B, ordinance 582H for second reading this evening. An ordinance amending Article 8 of Chapter 2 of the City of Belvedere Municipal Code to add a new Section 2-701 for minor purchasing guidelines. And we had touched upon this a little bit earlier regarding this essentially as an A and B to it regarding the guidelines, which allows the fire chief, police chief, director of public works, city clerk, finance director, and department director of buildings to purchase, contract, or budgeted goods in the amount not to exceed $2,500 without prior approval of the council. Of course, the council will see it. And item B, authorizing the mayor to purchase or contract any budgeted goods or services in the amount not to exceed $15,000 without prior approval from the city council. Also, any of those purchases will be considered an emergency type basis, and the council will see those. So could I have a motion to that effect, please? Motion by Alderman Stevens, second by Alderman McGee. Thank you. Any discussion regarding ordinance 582H? Alderwoman Freeman?
Thank you, Mayor. I have actually two questions that I wanted to ask. First is the $15,000, that was the air conditioner for $12,250. You were able to go ahead and emergency approve that so that they could get that ordered?
Well, I think what this does is it definitely gives us something in writing under ordinance form that would allow me to do that. I think that in the past, mayors have always done that, although the council really hasn't approved that, and this puts that in writing under this ordinance. That would be an example that, of what may fall under that. Certainly, if they don't have any air conditioning, and it was as hot as it was a few days ago, we've got a problem, and we want to try. We don't expect people that are in public safety, to not have air conditioning. That is something I would consider probably an emergency, and I would approve that based upon if I could get bids. In this case, we had used Advanced in the past, and they had been kind enough to come out. They actually saved the city some money because they diagnosed and made a repair that otherwise we thought we may have to repair as well. But this would be an example of this ordinance and that authority to be able to do that under my auspices and with the council's approval to do that. So, yes.
Okay, thank you. And I think Attorney Drella, can you explain a little bit about ordinance 763G?
Took me a second to get where you're going with that one. 763G was adopted in 2005. At the time, the council, the city cleaned up an accounting, I don't want to say it was an error, but the way we handled things with regard to the seized asset funds. The chief has mentioned those before, where there's a seized asset account is a designated fund within the city's funds that are only to be utilized by law enforcement and primarily utilized in efforts that somehow relate to enforcement of drug laws of the state of Illinois and the United States. They can be used for things analogous to it, like training for those purposes. You can even use them, I believe, to purchase some of the equipment in a squad car because it would be used for drug interdiction, things like that. That ordinance at the time was passed, perpetuated what had been a past practice of the chief being able to spend that money. So it authorized the chief to spend up to $20,000 without council approval, but only out of that fund.
Thank you.
And keep in mind that that is asset forfeiture fund, which are assets that have been seized, not budgeted items out of our annual budget. That is the difference.
And Mr. Mayor, if I may, there's a lot of talk earlier about emergencies. The ordinance before you is not directed towards emergencies. It could be quite possible where you'd have, quite likely, where you'd have an emergency expenditure exceeding $15,000. I mean, that's really not a very high ceiling at all. This is day-to-day operations. It handles things like large bulk purchases of gasoline or fuel, like we talked about a few minutes ago. where it's purchased perhaps before council's formal approval, but the council sees it during bills payable. So, just to make that clear.
And just to be clear, I would definitely define those as an emergency, so. I mean, if you talk about an emergency larger than that amount, that could happen. In this case, we have expenditures that are emergencies, and they fall under those parameters. So at least that's how I define it. And I think it would be forthright for me to tell the council that's what I'd be looking for, so. Okay. We have a motion and a second then for item B, ordinance 582H, an ordinance amending Article 8 of Chapter 2 of the City of Belvedere Municipal Code to add a new section 2-701, minor purchasing guidelines. All those in favor, well, when their name is read, answer yes. Any opposed, no. When the clerk calls the roll, please.
Freeman.
Aye.
McGee.
Aye.
Mulhall. Porter.
Aye.
Prather.
Aye.
Snow.
Aye.
Stevens.
Aye.
Brereton.
No.
Flurry.
Aye.
Frank.
No.
8 in favor.
Okay, motion passed, thank you. And item 10, new business. We have item A, ordinance 583H on the agenda just for a first reading. That ordinance is granting a special use to allow in-vehicle sales for service drive-through within the planned business district located at 2056 Gateway Center Drive, which is the Taco Bell, and that will come back before the council at a second reading. We have motions forwarded from Committee of the Whole, Building, Planning, Zoning, and Public Works of May 9th, 2022. Motions of Public Works, Chairwoman Freeman.
Thank you, Your Honor. A, motion to approve the Illinois Commerce Commission, the ICC, stipulated agreement 2146 and authorize the mayor to sign the agreement.
Okay, we have a motion out of committee. Do we have any discussion regarding that motion? And this is for the Appleton Road signals, Brent, just for clarification.
Yeah, it's for the main line crossing only, does not include the spur for Chrysler,
Okay.
Stellantis.
Okay, thank you. Okay, hearing no other questions, those in favor will signify by saying aye. Any opposed, nay. When the clerk calls the roll, please.
McGee.
Aye.
Mulhall.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Prather.
Aye.
Snow.
Aye.
Stevens.
Aye.
Brereton.
Aye.
Flurry.
Aye.
Frank.
Aye.
Freeman.
Aye.
10 in favor.
Motion passed, thank you. Chairwoman Freeman, continue.
Thank you. B, motion to approve the proposal from Baxter and Woodman in an amount not to exceed $84,000 for the design engineering for the primary clarifiers rehabilitation project. This work will be paid for from ARPA funds, line item number 41-5-110-8029.
Okay, we have that motion out of committee. Do we have any discussion, any questions regarding that motion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor will say aye. Any opposed, nay. When the clerk calls the roll, please.
Mulhall.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Prather.
Aye.
Snow.
Aye.
Stevens.
Aye.
Brereton.
Aye.
Flurry.
Aye.
Frank.
Aye.
Freeman.
Aye.
McGee.
Aye.
10 in favor.
Motion passed, thank you. And Chairwoman Freeman, item C.
Thank you again. C, motion to approve the change order proposals from Dale's Plumbing in the amount of $16,233.56 for change order number 1 and change order number 2 for the Florence Court reconstruction project. This work will be paid for from line item 41-5-110-8027.
Okay, we have that motion out of committee. Any questions regarding that motion? Chairwoman Freeman.
Thank you. So, Director Anderson, both of these change orders are for Dale's Plumbing, and the first one is a little over 16,000. How much is the second one?
No, the 16,000 is for both of them. Dale's Plumbing is the general contractor for the Florence Court reconstruction project. The first one is for $7,528.06, and that's replacing the two, what was called out in the plans was 2 4-inch line stops, and we have decided to replace those with 4-inch insert valves. And the difference between the two is the valves can be utilized after the fact, once the construction is done. That'll give us better control of the system once it's finished. The second one was to lower the existing 4-inch water main. That was an addition of $8,705.50, and that's just a physical grade. When we got down there to actually do the extension on the sanitary sewer, the water main was not where we thought it was, and it was right in conflict with the grade that the sewer needed to be at, so we had to lower the water main.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor will say aye. Any opposed, nay. When the clerk calls the roll, please.
Porter,
Aye.
Prather,
Aye.
Snow,
Aye.
Stevens,
Aye.
Brereton,
Aye.
Flurry,
Aye.
Frank,
Aye.
Freeman,
Aye.
McGee,
Aye.
Mulhall,
Aye.
10 in favor.
Okay, motion passed, and I would like to go into an executive session, if I could get a motion, and that executive session is to discuss pending, probable, or imminent litigation pursuant to Section 2C 11 of the Illinois Open Meetings Act. Motion by Alderman Snow, second by Alderman Fleury. All those in favor will answer aye. Any opposed, nay. When the clerk calls the roll, please.
Prather,
Aye.
Snow,
Aye.
Stevens,
Aye.
Brereton,
Aye.
Flurry,
Aye.
Frank,
Aye.
Freeman, McGee,
Aye.
Mulhall,
Aye.
Porter,
Aye.
10 in favor.
Okay, motion passed. That is at 7:54 PM. Would like Mr. Anderson